Today we are going to learn how to turn a song into a piece of artwork. So I have a few finished here that I'm going to show you. These are songs that I've already turned into a piece of art based on how I was feeling, based on how the song looked to me in my head. There's lots of different ways you can do this. And I'm going to show you how to do a few different ways to color and a few different ways to draw. So first thing, you're going to need your supplies. I like to use a paper, big, small, black, white, orange, red, pick your favorite color. It needs to be thick if you're going to use paint, but if you're going to use markers or crayons, it doesn't really matter. Black marker, well, yeah, you can use any color, but I like to use black. Some different things you can use for color are oil pastels. It's kind of like a greasy crayon. These are pretty cheap. I think a small pack of those is about $2 or $3. You can use markers. Whoops, colored pencils, anything you have at your house. If you want to get really fancy, you could use regular paint. I have watercolor paint that I like to use, and I'll show you some stuff you can do with watercolor paint too.
All right, Sammy, I got some classical music for you.
Thank you, Justin.
Now we're gonna mix it up. I got some screamo. Now I've got some pop punk by the Dolly Rots.
Okay, so I showed you a few different kinds of lines, so you want to think about what kind of feeling the music has. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it loud or is it quiet? Could you want to draw something that looks like the drums to you, or maybe your favorite instrument, whatever you play? So I'm going to pick a song that I like and I'm going to draw with it, but first I want to show you kind of what we're trying to do. We want one long line that doesn't touch itself and it doesn't get all tangled up on the paper, so we can color it later, because the ones I showed you that were colored, remember, they didn't cross back and forth. It's kind of like drawing a maze. So we're going to start at one corner. I like to draw a little line at one corner, and we're going to go to the opposite corner. So I'm going to draw a little line at that corner to remind me. Now I can do anything I want all over the paper, but I need to end up going from here, blah, 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 to over here. Now, something that people do sometimes is they start going and they accidentally trap themselves in a corner, so just try not to do that. And if you do, just flip your paper over and try again. Let's get started. Are you ready?
Yeah. Here's Thumposaurus.
I am a visitor of my own universe. I am an alien in my own consciousness. I follow this body because I like to party. I follow this body because I like to party.
All right, for the first way you can color, I'm going to show you how to do this kind of crazy rainbow design that we saw earlier. I'm using oil pastels because they're kind of a darker, greasier version of a crayon, and I really like how bold they look. You can use crayons, markers, anything, but if you want to do this way, I'm going to do the colors of the rainbow, and you can remember those with Roy G. Biv, and that's an imaginary name that stands for the colors red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, which is like a dark blue, and I don't have that, so I'm just going to skip it, and violet. So when I'm coloring, let's make an imaginary shape here. If These are my crazy lines that I'm trying to do. If I'm coloring inside of here, I'm gonna start with one color. Doesn't have to be red, but I thought that's easier to remember. Let's just start with red. Then you go to your next one, orange. And if you want them to mix together, you kind of color on top with this one and they'll smear, they'll blend together just like that. Yellow. And if it gets a little dirty and you want to clean it, just take an extra little piece of paper and you wipe off that extra stuff there. And it should be nice and clean. There we go. Green. And if you get those white spots, just go back and clean them up. And I think you got the idea. You just keep going with your colors, and when you get back to purple, you start at red again, over and over and over and over, and you got a billion rainbows on your paper. Now another thing you can do is, if you're interested in this design that I showed earlier, how I did this is I did something called a resist. Have you ever had someone say, oh, a donut, I just couldn't resist? That means they didn't do it. So a resist means you're not going to paint a certain part. You resisted painting that part of your picture. So I use a white crayon, a white oil pastel, or you can even use a white birthday candle or regular candle. Anything waxy or oily or greasy. You could even use white eyeliner, but you know, ask your mom first. So this is going to be, I could draw polka dots, stars, anything that I don't want to show up. I'm lazy, so I'm just going to do a bunch of scribbles. And I'm not even going to worry about if I go outside the lines because it's white and my paper's white, so I'm not even going to be able to see it. Then the next step is to take my paint. This only works with watercolor paint. If you have regular paint and you want to use it, you just need to mix it with a whole bunch of water so it's almost a watercolor paint. Because you want it to be really, really light. So I'm going to get some of my watercolor paint, which is right here. I'm going to pick a color, I think I'll do purple for this one. And I'm going to get a nice watery purple going on over here. And when I paint the purple, all the parts where I put that waxy, oily oil pastel down doesn't get any of the color on it. Or if the color gets on it, it just falls off. So I'm just going to paint. And if you go a little outside the lines, it's okay. But see how I can't really see that white outside the lines? Now if it gets uneven like that, you might just need to go back with a little more paint and darken it up. But I kind of like it looking weird and blotchy like that. I think it looks cool like tie-dye. And you can do any pattern, any color. You can do the whole thing just black if that's what the mood of your song was. Pick something that fits your music. Okay, now you can turn it off. Okay, so to color our piece, we have to pick where we want the colors. Because if we color everything, it's not going to look like shapes. If we want it to look like shapes, we have to pick one side of the line or the other. Let me explain. If I am this pencil and I'm going for a walk, pretend you're looking down at the paper and this is a maze. Oh, I hit a wall. I can't go over there. So you have to make sure wherever you're coloring is on the same side of the wall, because if nope, can't go over there, nope, can't go over there. So when we color, if you run into a dead end, you gotta turn around, you gotta find the next place you can color. If you had picked the other side, that's fine, but you can't cross over. I think I'm gonna do markers, and I think I'm gonna color the whole thing yellow, because my songs sound kind of crazy to me, and for me, yellow is a crazy color. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a pattern on top. So if you have trouble remembering which side you're supposed to color on, what I like to do is I like to make little dots. You can do them with a pencil if you want to be able to erase it later, or you can do it with your marker or your crayon or whatever you're using if you're feeling pretty confident. So I'm going to do this side. I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to make some little yellow dots so I remember where I'm supposed to be coloring. Now I'm going to color it.
Nepali, Amari si Nepali, I la 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 la. Oh, Amari si Nepali, I la 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 la. Oh, Amari si Nepali, I la 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 la. Oh, dui dashter dui achbedan le la komui, I la 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 la.
And we're done.